Shio nigadawu nuidai dagwado anigilohi digiawi chigi duwagi. Hello everyone, my name is Nuidai in my language, or you can call me Mora or Maura, and I am a dancer, a dance maker, an entertainer, and also sometimes a facilitator. And I just wanted to share with you a few things that I've been learning. One of the things that's important to me in my life is that I be of service to my family, to my people, to other folks I don't even know. And as a dancer, I train a lot. I'm obviously, in my body a lot, and doing the work of a professional athlete. And I sometimes think, well, how can I help someone if I'm not dancing or training with them, or if I'm not teaching, if I'm not performing, how can I help people? And so I thought to myself, well, I can share what I have learned. And so I'm excited to share with you some of the things I've been learning, always learning, no matter how long I've been dancing, no matter how old I am. So, number one, and I have notes, I even have notes. Also, just want to say, I'm dressed like that right now because it's cold in here and I refuse to turn on the heat. Just know that. So, okay. Now, going on to number one. Also, okay, I take that back. Also, there is a washing machine in the background, so no one has been kidnapped. It's the washing machine, so sorry if it's making a lot of noise. I'll put the little subtitles thing so you can still know what's going on. Okay, now, without further ado, number one, something I've been learning about. I've always been encouraged, as many of us have, either if you've been in dance or sports, either as professional or not a professional, just to push yourself, push, 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 push. No pain, no gain, it hurts to be beautiful, all of those things. And there is some truth to that, that has its place. But I realized with certain kind of movements that actually pushing to the point of deep discomfort or pain is not helpful. And so let me explain what I mean. So for example, let's say you can't do this movement, right? And so, let's say I can't do this. So I start off on day one trying to do this. And maybe I'm going like this and my form's all messed up and it's painful and I can kind of do it. If I keep on doing that day after day after day, I may get some stronger, but some other things might happen. One, I might get injured, but even if I didn't get injured, my mind and my body is saying, I hate this, this is hard, and it's almost like working against me. And it tenses up. And so I thought, okay, well, what if I can't do that the first day, I do this for as long as possible. Then the next day, I do one leg for as long as possible. Then the next day, another leg. And then one day I try, on my, you can't see this, but on my elbows. What I'm doing that way is building up the muscles so the movement becomes easy. This is easy for me to do, right? But if I couldn't do that, it wouldn't be easy, it would be very hard. And so I guess what I'm saying is sometimes it's best to try this movement first. Stay here, try this for 2 days into a week until it's so easy you don't even think about it. Then next week, try this movement until it's so easy, don't even think about it. Next, try this movement for 1 second. Next, try this movement for 2 seconds. So instead of starting off by doing this movement with bad form and holding and hurting and not breathing, I realized, let it be easy and let my body build up. And so since I've been doing that, instead of being like push, 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 pain, 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 I've said, okay, well, if I can't, let's take something, for example, in Oritahiti. If I can't, um, I'm not going to do it right now, but this position, be here and be, if I can't do that quickly and easily, it's probably because my body hasn't caught up to that point. So maybe I just go down to that level and sit there. And then the next day I do the same until being in that level is easy. Then I try to do the circles, as opposed to trying to do the circles immediately, when my body's not at that point. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions, just let me know. But it's not about not trying, because it is important to try the full movement first. But I realized if the reason I can't do the full movement is because the muscles in my body haven't caught up, or I don't have the flexibility, no amount of pushing it will make that happen. I have to build up that flexibility and build up that strength piece by piece until it becomes easy, And once this thing is easy, then I go to the next thing, and that's challenging. It's challenging, then that becomes easy, then that becomes easy, then that becomes easy. So just looking for the ease in the movement and the new thing that I'm learning. So that's number one. Number two is about engaging body parts and engaging muscles. I've danced, obviously I didn't dance when I was a baby, maybe I did, but I tell people I don't remember a time when I wasn't dancing. And I've been in classes. I was fortunate enough that my parents could afford to put me into classes. So I've been in a class environment for most of my life and heard teachers tell me, engage your core, engage your butt, engage this. And I would hear that. But I finally realized after all these decades of dancing that I haven't actually been engaging. Because I was fortunate enough to be strong, I might just put my arm out and I could hold my arm out, but I actually wasn't, engaging. I'm overdoing it, so you can see what I'm talking about, but I wasn't engaging my back to move my arm. And I think I heard the word engage and I thought move or something. But so I started the practice of squeezing the part, using, like, especially glutes, like squeezing the butt. When they say engage the butt, squeeze. And that's kind of a faking it until you make it. But it woke up the muscle for me so that I was realizing, oh, when they say engage the glute of the standing leg, it's not just balance and stand there. It's really engage it. Think about it and activate that muscle. And I had to do squeezing, at first, because I realized it was difficult for me to isolate or think about. But after a while of squeezing, the kind of faking it till you make it, I realized that engaging is not quite the same thing as squeezing, and then it can be done using the mind of the body. So the best way to explain this is, you have your thoughts, but the body has its own other spirit, has its own intelligence. And so to use that is a different skill than thinking, or it's a different skill than feeling. It's using the intelligence of the body and trusting that. So I think you might hear people say, get out of your head, get out of your head. It's partially that, but it's really calling upon the wisdom of the body spirit itself. And once again, happy to talk more about that. But I finally, after years of hearing activate, or engage, I feel like I really understand that on a different level now, which is kind of funny. Okay. Oh yeah. Another thing was just about doing, this is number 3, doing the thing anyway. I remember maybe when I was like 13 or something, I would do things or say things that were probably annoying. I don't really know what they were. I have seem to have wiped those out of my memory. But my father, he would say to me, you're practicing, this is your life right now, And I was like, what is he talking about? But I realized what he was saying is there is no pretend life. Whatever day it is, that's the life right now, And I think this is a challenge for a lot of freelance artists and probably, athletes. I'm like, oh, athletes have everything. But I'm sure that for some professional athletes who might not be sponsored, there's the same issue. We are in charge of our own practice, and also for writers and people like that. And so it's just about not waiting for the perfect time, and doing whatever, as much as we can, whenever we can. That quote came from Dean, Madame Mesquite, elder who's now passed on, but do as much as you can, as long as you can, whenever you can. So in terms of the practice of whatever one's, life work is, I think about, for example, the folks of Camp Breakers, shout out. They are currently in Palestine working with Palestinian children and families, with the art of breakdancing and using dance as a way to get through trauma. But, these folks, they're practicing out there and learning new techniques while these drones are happening, bombs, literally. And they're still learning because there's still this time that we have. Whatever life we've been dealt, that's it. So in that moment, if there's some time and you have the space and I have the space and time to do my life work, then that I have to make that happen. And so I'll tell you a story. I remember I was actually fleeing an abuser. I was in an abusive relationship and had to flee and run to my car, and it was like a movie. I'm smiling because looking at it, it was like a movie. He was like chasing me around and threw himself in the car, and I had to run away, but then I had to go perform. And I did perform regardless of what was going on. Okay, I don't know where I'm going with that one, but it just made me thinking about do as much as you can, whenever you can, wherever you are. So that's for me. That may not work for everybody, but that's something I've learned. And then the last thing is a little less deep, but I think it is deep. It's about setting oneself up for success and not for failure. So when, I told you I went to class and different learning dance and also different settings, but for some settings and for some dances, for example, is you're told to wear a certain kind of outfit or uniform. For example, some people are familiar with ballet. You have your ballet shoes, you have a leotard, you have tights. I also grew up studying different types of djembe-based West African dance. They were mostly Mandinka dances, and so we wore a kind of wraparound skirt similar to what people who created the dances and currently practice those dances as part of their social life and life wear, traditionally. And when I got older and when I was in adult classes or in rehearsals that were not pre-performance, I got out of that. I got into the habit of thinking, I can wear what I want. I don't have to wear those things. I'll just wear them for, like pre-dress rehearsals and so on and so forth. But so I've been thinking about this. I've been taking Ori Tahiti, and I have not been wearing the, oh my gosh, the name of the skirt, I can't think of in this very moment. Pareo. I wasn't wearing it just because I was taking online class, there was nobody seeing me. When I did live, I'd wear it. But in one of the classes, the instructor, Kanani Lokelani, said, you need to wear it because you can tell if you're doing the movement correctly, the ami. You can tell if you're doing it correctly by the way the pareo moves. And I thought about that and I was like, huh. And then there's been another completely very different setting where I was twerking and I had on something form-fitting. And of course, if you got something form-fitting and going, your booty cannot, right? When you're twerking and you have nothing obstructing the booty, it will clap. And it will clap in a certain rhythm, and you know that you're on that rhythm. I know that's funny, but it's true, right? And then also, I was, I think, just doing like a routine that was kind of house/hip hop. And I don't usually wear baggy clothes, but I wore something super baggy. And when I wore that, I was like, oh my gosh, what a difference this is than I'm wearing booty shorts and a tight top. The reason being, I made notes about this. So for all of these examples that I've given, how we are dressed affects how we feel. It's almost like getting into character. For many people, I can't speak for everybody, but if you perform, or I guess kind of in all forms of life, when people change clothes and put on new clothes, it helps remind them, oh, I'm in a different space, I'm here for a different reason. So there's that mind switch that goes on. But interestingly, of course, the outfit and the clothing, whether or not it's like an actual costume, affects how the movement looks. So if I am, going like this right now, you can see my shoulders kind of go like that. But if I had nothing on up here, the movement is a much different movement. Similarly, if I had on long flowing things here, this movement would be a whole nother thing. So it affects the actual, how it looks from an audience standpoint. It also affects how we feel inside, like that shift I told you about, I'm in this dance form now, or I'm in that dance form. But something else that I think is extremely important for training and rehearsal, and once again, I'm not talking about, the costume, of course, you need to get used to a costume, but this is separate, is that what, I'll just say for myself, what I explore based on my physical interaction with the cloth, or the lack thereof, and how that cloth moves in space, what I can do or not do based on how the cloth moves with me. I explore different things when I have on the right clothing for that dance form. It's like having a whole nother tool that I'm dancing with. So the bottom line is, I realize that when I don't practice in the clothing of that dance form, I'm actually limiting what I'm able to explore. And it's kind of like closing the door on that by just saying, oh, for this dance that's supposed to have long flowy clothes, I'm just going to wear shorts. And that's fine. I mean, if you don't have that stuff, this is not about that. But even if it's just tying a rag, right? To understand how the cloth interacts with the movement and how you can interact with the cloth and the movement, those are whole nother levels of deep learning. So I say, I've learned to set myself up for success, and really, just go ahead and fully embrace a form, its clothing, its terminology, and not just think of it as, oh, it's just the body. It's the body and the clothes and the music and all of the things interacting with one another. Okay, I think that's it. Hope this was useful. I hope that it's useful for dance people, but I just hope it's useful for humans. I'm excited about learning these things. I feel like, wow, I should have known them, but I'm learning them now, and I'll probably have to relearn them. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. I think it's Nokine Iga Thursday. I'll talk to you later. Mwah.